The first story came from someone who said they took the night shift because they thought it would be easy. Fewer people, less supervision, more quiet. At the time, they were 22 and working as a security guard for a small office complex on the edge of town. The building was mostly empty at night. 3 floors, a lobby, a parking garage beneath it. Their job was simple: sit at the desk, watch the cameras, and do a patrol every hour. The first few weeks were uneventful, boring even. Then one night around 2:30 a.m., one of the motion sensors tripped on the 3rd floor. They checked the camera feed. Nothing moved. No shadows, no flicker. They assumed it was a glitch and reset the alarm. 10 minutes later, the same sensor went off again. This time, when they checked the monitor, they noticed something subtle. A door at the end of the hallway was open. They were almost certain it had been closed during their last patrol. They grabbed their flashlight and headed upstairs. The hallway was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of silence where you become painfully aware of your own footsteps. They walked toward the open door, calling out, expecting maybe a cleaning crew member or someone who forgot something. No answer. As they reached the doorway, the smell hit them first. Not rot, not garbage, something warm and sour, like breath that had been trapped in a closed space for too long. They shined the flashlight inside. The room was empty. As they turned to leave, they heard a soft sound behind them, a chair leg scraping the floor. They spun around. In the reflection of the dark computer screen inside the room, they saw a figure standing directly behind them in the doorway. They dropped the flashlight and ran. Later, when they reviewed the camera footage, the 3rd floor hallway camera showed something unsettling. The door hadn't opened that night. It had never closed. The second story was sent in by a woman who worked overnight at a small 24-hour grocery store in a rural town. After midnight, it was usually just her and one cashier. One night, around 1 a.m., a man came in and stood near the entrance. He didn't grab a basket, didn't walk the aisles. He just stood there, staring at the security mirror above the checkout. She asked if he needed help. He smiled and said, "I'm just waiting." "Waiting for what?" she asked. "For it to get quiet," he replied. She laughed nervously, assuming it was a bad joke. He didn't move for nearly an hour. When the cashier went on break, the woman was left alone in the store with him. That's when she noticed something wrong. Every time she moved, his eyes followed her in the mirror. Not directly, only in the reflection. When she walked behind him, he didn't turn his head, but in the mirror, she could see his eyes track her movements perfectly. Her heart started racing. She told him the store was closing for cleaning and asked him to leave. He looked at her directly for the first time and said, "I can't. Not yet." Then the lights flickered. When they came back on, the man was gone. The front door alarm never sounded. The cameras never showed him leaving. She quit the next morning. The third story came from a hospital orderly who worked overnight shifts transporting patients and equipment between departments. Hospitals at night, they said, feel like different places entirely. Longer hallways, dimmer lights, sounds that echo too much. One night around 3 a.m., they were called to transport a body to the morgue. That wasn't unusual. What was unusual was the name on the chart. It was theirs. Same first name, same last name, same birth year. They assumed it was a coincidence, a mistake. When they arrived at the morgue, the attendant looked at the chart and frowned. "Are you sure this is right?" the attendant asked. Before they could answer, the lights in the hallway dimmed. From one of the drawers, they heard knocking. 3 slow knocks. The attendant backed away, whispering that it wasn't possible, that the drawer was supposed to be empty. The knocking came again. They ran. The next day, the hospital claimed no such incident occurred. No chart, no body. But the orderly transferred to day shift immediately. The last story came from a man who worked overnight as a dispatcher for a small taxi company. The office was a converted house, and at night he was alone. Around 4 a.m., he received a call. No one spoke on the other end, just breathing. He asked for a pickup location. The breathing stopped. Then the caller whispered his address. His home address. The line went dead. A minute later, the office phone rang again. This time the caller said, "I'm outside." The dispatcher locked the doors and turned off the lights. Through the front window, he saw a figure standing under the streetlight, smiling. The police arrived 20 minutes later. No one was there. But the phone rang one last time before dawn, and this time it was coming from inside the office.